Hey, what's up, Maverick? What a pleasure to get to know you. How awesome.
What's up, man? Y'all good?
Oh, I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm good, man. Everything's well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. How great it is. You know what? Right now, what we actually have is we're starting season 2 of our podcast.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, because I started the sharing the podcast on Spotify as well, and there you can put it into seasons. So I thought, hey, this is going to be season 2, so you're going to be number 1 of season 2.
Roger that.
That's
Good stuff,
awesome.
man.
That's awesome. So Maverick, we follow each other on Instagram. We see each other doing stuff, liking stuff, and whenever I see people I like and I enjoy what they do, I'm always it's auto like. Whenever I
Okay.
see you guys post something. So my question is, Mav, where are you from? Where are you based? What is your story with kettlebells, and how did you get started? And yeah, just the whole shebang.
I've lived in Florida since '91, um, and basically been here, ever since then. And then, started doing kettlebells in 2015. Uh,
Mm.
got really cranked into them just because of, some gym battle wounds, I guess you could say, from doing a lot of barbell, dumbbell, classic machine work, stuff like that. And then the kettlebells really took over um, as a suggestion from my coach, and
Mm.
it was just basically an aha moment of I'd never grabbed a piece of equipment where I just felt like this is what I should be moving.
Wow.
So that happened. 2014 was when I like kind of started, messing around with them. 2015, I got certified with Strong First as level 1 in February, and then I got level 2 in May. So
Mm. Pretty
basically back to
pretty
back.
quick. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Back to back. Yeah.
yeah. So and with SFG II, you got to be able to, half body weight press. Um, you know, so the coincidental thing was is that at my level 2, I didn't know what the beast tamer was, and without even training for it, I almost I almost crushed it.
I love it.
Um,
It's like,
yeah,
oh,
like, what's this? They're like, so I was like, oh, okay, let me give it a gander.
let
But
me give it a shot.
the only thing that got me is my heel just kind of grazed the ground, and coming up out of the pistol,
With a 48 kg, right? So for people
and
who
I
don't know, yeah, the
yeah.
beast tamer. If you would just explain the beast tamer for a second.
Yeah. So Beast Tamer, it's a strength challenge in the kettlebell community.
Mm.
For the men, it's a 48 kilo strict press, no shift, no turbulence in the body upon the press. You're allowed to have a little bit of a slight wedge coming
Mm-hmm.
up under, but you can't be like this.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Ben pressing it. Yeah.
you got to be able to do a pistol squat. You got to be able to control the depth. You can't bounce out of the hole. You got to wait for the command to put the free leg back down as you come to a full hip extension. And then the one that gets pretty much everybody is the pull up with
The
48
pull up,
kilo
right?
straps.
That's massive,
And
man.
you got to get the bar to the Adam's apple or to the throat.
Wow.
Um, I did a lot of weighted pull ups, prior to getting the kettlebells. So, going into it, I was already training heavy kettlebells, and my 1 RM at the time was 140 pounds.
Wow.
So,
70 kilos, right? Approximately.
yeah, yeah,
Mm.
about 70K. And uh, and I did that just because in the strength world, being able to do 75% of your body weight for a strict pull up is considered pretty damn strong.
Mm.
So I'm always looking for how I can create strength based on body weight.
Ah,
You know,
I like that
in relation
approach. Yeah.
to the load. So like if we have a couple students and they both weigh, one weighs 80 kilos and one weighs 92 kilos, then if both individuals are able to clean their body weight, so we got the person who weighs 80, they can clean a pair of 40s, and then the person who weighs 92, they can clean a pair of whatever that is, 46s.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know
Mm.
if there's a 46 kilo bell out there, but if they both can clean and they both can press or squat, then they are both equally as strong. Now, if the 80 kilo guy or girl wants to notch it up to get stronger, then that's going to take more training in. But I think at the basis of all kettlebellers, that we should be able to do some magical things with the kettlebells, and one of them is being able to clean your body weight. And I've seen many women under the Fieldhouse be able to clean their body weight.
Which is massive, man. You
It's
know,
massive.
I just started digging into this old time strongman world. So I just read the book on the weekend. I really smashed that book from Georg Hackenschmidt, who he wasn't the inventor, but they call it the hack squat. But it's actually, the funny thing is the terminology hack comes from the word Hacke in Germany, which is an instrument that you use to I don't know. I think it's hoe in German, in English.
Okay. Yeah.
And this is where the word hack squat comes from, but it's attributed to the guy, to Georg Hackenschmidt, right?
Okay.
But the interesting thing is that now that I'm digging into the history of kettlebells and weights and barbells and stuff, I'm now reading Theodor Siebert's book, which was 1895, who got his ideas from the fathers of gymnastics. Their names is Gutmuth and Jan. These are German guys from the 1800s. It's so fascinating, and because you're mentioning women, it's so fascinating to see. Her name was Elisa Serena Luftmann. She was the first strong woman, actually. And she was the beast. And then you had another a woman, I forgot her name, but it's such a funny story. I think she was with Ladislaus Pytlazinski. And Pytlazinski was also, I think it was him, an old school strongman dude from Poland, if I'm not mistaking the name. And he started training her because she picked up one of his weights and tossed it at him.
Yeah.
And he was so amazed. He was like, "What? Wow.
Yeah.
What are you doing with those weights?" That he started coaching her. So I think that's a great segue into my question, because I see you guys do a lot of heavy stuff with barbells, with kettlebells, some heavy weights, heavy presses, and anything that's heavy. And I remember one of our subscribers sent me this video of yours, and he was like, "This guy Maverick, I think he's cheating. What's up with that kettlebell?" And I remember, I think I sent you this. I don't know.
It was a YouTube video.
And I saw folks commenting on the video like, "That's never." What kind of weight was that? You were cleaning the big one, 92 or something, or
I was wearing a red shirt. It's on YouTube, and I was doing hand swings with a 68 kilo kettlebell, and then I was doing like tactical snatches with something, and then I was goblet squatting it.
And I think it looked, even from my perspective, it looked
like
so
air. Yeah.
That's fascinating. That's so fascinating to me. And so my question, keep going.
It's like when you see an Olympian with a barbell, and you got Pocket Hercules. I can't remember where he's out of, but the guy could clean and jerk triple his body weight. You know what I mean? It's just, when you can connect with anything, it looks effortless.
Yeah.
When you can connect with a kettlebell, it becomes an extension of your extremity. And if you see a video of me moving something that's considered heavy, it's made to look light through trials and tribulations and many quality practice reps. And that poses the problem with what I had a conversation with my student prior to getting on right here. And when people join the Fieldhouse, they're like, "Hey, how many times a week do I work out?" They're like, "Well, we don't work out, we train." And we don't train every day. We train every month, and every week is a building block to achieve the month's goals. So you're striving for like main lifts and things of that nature that you're going to progressively overload and build strength into. But when we can cultivate the mindset that we're training to get stronger so we can live better, so we can feel healthier, and we can enjoy our life and stop being stricken to our dungeon of destruction, and just get in, look at the plan, achieve the plan, and make the plan become wired into our DNA. That's when really a 68 looks like an 18 when you're moving it.
Amen. Wow, that's so powerful. And what you were saying resonates with what Theodor Siebert said in 1895. And when I'm reading that book, which is exclusively in German, I'm reading this and I'm like, I keep saying the stuff out loud, sharing it with Angie and telling her, "See, that guy said stuff that that still holds true today." For example, he said something which is so fascinating. Like you said, you know, it's the quality practice. It's the quality movements. It's not a magic system. And he even says this. He says this book is not made for people who are constantly going out with the shiny object syndrome, looking for something that's brand new. And when they hear the basics, just keep moving, keep the practice, sleep well, eat well, use maybe some more veggies, maybe some more fruits, breathe well. I love this. And then folks be like, and he says it in the book, folks be like, that's that old stuff that everybody knows. I need the new thing, right? But there is nothing new under the sun, right?
No, every foundation is laid the same. You know what I mean? It's all about layers. If you want to have a 3-story house, you better build a fucking solid foundation. And if you want to have a 1-story house, you still have to have a solid foundation. And everybody wants to just put some stilts on the ground and stack all the shenanigans on top. And they don't want to build the blocks. Mm-hmm. And that's cool, but you're not going to sustain what you just, worked out for. When you train, you sustain. When you work out, you just get a feeling. And just like feelings, they come and they go.
They come and go.
But things that are sustained they're inscribed into your DNA, and they remain there. And it's just as simple as, not driving a car for 3 years and then you get back in and you know exactly how to dump the clutch, shift into first gear, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and just, the RPMs. But, when you just jump into a hot rod and you just try to just go, that's how you get hurt. That's how you blow your motor. And
it's the same with practice, yeah. And this idea of working out, I recently said this in a video. I said maybe it's a good thing to approach the weights with a so-called craftsman mentality, wanting to get better with the lift, wanting to practice the lift to a spot where you reach a point like where you make it look effortless. Where people were like, how is that possible? Well, it's possible because that's his 55th thousandth rep with that training modality. That's the reason why it now looks like this. Yeah. And so that's why I always say on these videos, I'm like, it's the basics. Even though I'm kind of, and that's why I gotta get your opinion. I'm really, really looking forward to your opinion because I'm kind of in between. I believe basics are like 95% of the work. And maybe there is some new stuff that we can tinker with. But for example, when I asked Dan John, he says, if you would have asked me a couple of years ago if we have to tinker with new stuff, I'd be like, yeah. But now I'm kind of like, nah, the basics is where it's at. And what's your point of view on that?
So I think with basics, there's the core ones that, kind of like are the dawn of kettlebells, like the clean, the press, the squat, the row, the Turkish get up, right? But as the kettlebell community has risen and the dawning of monster kettlebells has come into play, now you have taken the pinnacle kettlebell of 48 kilos, which has been the gold standard for the press. And now you're seeing people strict press 52, 56, 60. 68, you know what I mean? I mean, obviously these are massive men, but that poses different movement patterns and that poses different techniques for heavy kettlebell training. You can't clean a pair of 48s with the same volume that you clean with 24s. However,
most definitely.
However, if you're going to clean 24s, your 32s better look like 24s. Your 40s had better look like 24s. Your 48s had better look like 24s. Because just like Schwarzenegger says, it's the repetition that defines the muscle. Okay? So whatever that repetition is, it must define the muscle because then the muscle can move appropriately. Now, with basic kettlebell movements, some that I have created is, I call it an anchor squat. And essentially it's to replace the barbell back squat. Because if I have an individual that has a full kit from 92 kilos, 80, 68, 52, all the way down, then I need to be able to employ some different techniques so they can get their posterior chain and they can get a little bit of variety in their squat pattern. Because just because there's variety doesn't mean that it's wild, right?
Mm,
So
mm,
with the anchor squat, we're standing on two elevated surfaces, anywhere
mm-hmm,
from 4 to 6 inches. We
mm-hmm.
have a kettlebell in between, and then we squat down to a deficit and we lift the bell up. This, in theory, works your body the same way a back squat would, even though we're lifting up off the ground. And then the other
Mm,
movement that I find to be that should be a part of the staple is what is a cyclist squat, and that's where our heels are elevated, and then we can
mm-hmm.
tax the quads and the glutes a little bit more into that range of motion. Now, it
Yeah.
doesn't mean that you need to do a cyclist squat into a forward lunge or into a Cossack squat or anything like that in the beginning, but if you can take some of these basics and add another layer of basic movement pattern to it.
Mm-hmm,
But that's what everybody wants in the beginning. They want to do all this wild and crazy stuff, and then they're
mm-hmm,
like, why do my knees hurt? Well,
mm-hmm.
like, you didn't build up the volume.
Oh, I love this.
You didn't build up, you didn't build up the quality. Your body is not ready for that
Yeah.
neuromuscular
Yeah,
transmission.
yeah.
It's
Oh wow, neuromuscular transmission. Well, that's powerful. And I think you what you're just mentioning. If I understand it correctly, let me just repackage this so I get it in my mind. The anchor squat is where you actually have the kettlebell on the floor. You elevate the heels, right?
no,
So
the foot. You
the
elevate your
foot, no,
surface. Yeah. So
elevate
like
the surface, right?
cinder
Like you're,
blocks.
like cinder blocks. It's like you would stand between on chairs, for example, or just a little bit higher, right? A
Yeah.
little bit not as high as a chair,
Yep.
right? And then the second one would be you call it the cyclist squat, where you
Yep.
go on your balls of your feet, right?
And your heels are elevated
And the heels are
on two
elevated.
fixed objects.
Yeah. And
Now we're talking about a heel elevation of maybe um, anywhere from 1.5 to 2 inches, depending on your ankle mobility.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then
Fascinating. And as I'm reading these books now, from Theodor Siebert, from Dr. Krajewski, from Hackenschmidt, all these crazy heavyweights, these old school strongmen, they actually started with this idea of going down into a squat, even with the barbell, and then they go on the balls of their feet. So the heels are elevated. It's like this is even some old school stuff, if I may say so, and which also, but it still ties into this idea of getting the fundamentals right, and then building
layers.
upon it, or layers.
Yeah.
It's layers, right?
Yeah,
And
it's
you
like
mentioned,
a chain. It's
yeah,
just like a chain, you know? It's like if you start a student out, start them out with a swing clean. Okay, cool. You got that? Okay, swing clean press. Oh, all right, perfect. Now you built up core strength. Let's add a more challenging layer. Let's add a front squat. All right, cool. Your legs are getting stronger. Let's add in a reverse lunge. Oh, cool. You're getting stronger. Good. Let's add in one more press, and let's add in a Turkish get up. Minds are blown, right? But every single layer is a basic layer. It's just like a hamburger, man. It's like bread,
love it.
burger, cheese, onions, tomato,
Yeah.
lettuce. Just layer it. And then, some days you don't need the, lettuce, tomato, and onion. Some days you just want the meat and cheese.
I love it.
You know?
I love it. Yeah, it's and I don't know how many times I said this on this podcast, but I love how experts like you and other great minds of the kettlebell world that I had on, they say the same thing, they just phrase it differently. And I recently had this question from somebody who just started, and she was like, everybody says something else, and then I told her, well, I consider it like a pyramid. If you're on the bottom, everybody says something else, but as soon as you elevate to the top, this is where you have the folks who really pushed through, or the coaches and the teachers and the folks that really got to the top. This is where you hear a lot of similar things going on, because actually people found out, well, a couple of things work and a couple of things don't, so let's just stick to the ones that work, right?
Yeah, everybody says the same thing. It's just a matter of if you can hear the words that they are conveying. And it's just like with coaching, all cues are applicable to the student. They're not applicable to all students. And what may click auditorially for student A may not for B, and then for B for A. And that goes with when we have a new student or a new kettlebell enthusiast, and they're like, wow, Gregory, everybody's saying this and saying that and blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. Cross-reference and see what the similarities are. Then see if they make sense to you. and then progress from there. You know what I mean? Be like, okay, cool. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But that makes more sense. Okay. And then, push the seaweed away, take a breath of air, and then, keep swimming, keep going towards whatever it is that you're going towards. But that's the problem with what's going on, is there's so much that you don't know what to believe. And
especially today.
There's the blue badge on everybody, and you get the seal of approval because everybody wants that validation. And validation should come from proof. It's like, prove your worth. Like, if you're gonna do it, then just do it. You don't need to sugarcoat shit, because all it is shit underneath the sugar. You know what I mean? Like, give it to me, give it to them black and white, and stop trying to like Houdini your product. It's like, give it to them.
Houdini your product. I love this.
Yeah.
It's merit based. Yeah, I'm totally a firm believer of merits that can be seen, and not only in the trainees' eyes, but also in the coach's eyes. Like, also I quote Siebert. I love what he says, and I gotta read you this quote. It's so fascinating because it's just exactly what it is. He says, "The master is revealed in restraint."
Yeah.
So limiting yourself to not, maybe not restraining yourself would be the better word. Restraining yourself, and then putting the reps in, like you mentioned, like Arnold Schwarzenegger said, quality of the rep. You put in the reps, and then people should see. And this is where validation comes from, right?
Yeah.
And I think in our cases, I get a lot of validation from the work that I do with the kettlebell. This small little feeling where it's like, oh, now the jerk feels a little better. The next day it feels off, but then it feels a little better. Then I'm rewatching, I'm taping myself, I'm watching it, I'm trying to apply new methods. And this is where I get a lot of validation this is where I get a lot of validation from. And now the applause, to a certain extent, it doesn't mean, it's great if people appreciate you and see what you do, but I felt so incredibly in love with the kettlebell. And you said something in the beginning that everybody said, that almost everybody said on the podcast, and I felt it as well, is like, you start working with the kettlebell and something clicks to a point where, like, wow, I've been lifting, that's my 12th consecutive year of training. But with the kettlebell, it's something that's so hard to explain.
It's like a
kettlebell effect. I love it.
It's like, think about it like making your own bread. You know what I mean? Like, it's that process of like molding the bread, and and you're using your hands, and then boom, you're set to rest. And with the kettlebell, because everything is, it's bilateral base, but like it's unilateral. You got to grab. It's single bells. So you got to really have a good understanding of your hand. And you're not just touching the kettlebell, like you feel for the kettlebell. And that's why doing barefoot training helps with that connection, because force is driven from the floor. So when we pull that force up through the floor, it transitions and radiates through the body, and then its endpoint is wherever we put the kettlebell. But it's all about an aesthetic, in this modern world. And I talk to a lot of gentlemen and ladies that they're like, hey, I've been just worried about my body, but now I really want to focus on my durability, or then my functional fitness, or whatever it is. So I don't care too much about the abs. I just don't want to be in pain, but I want to be strong. So it's cool to see how the mind, like, it develops into what's most important as you get into your decades of training.
I love this. And you get people with that one. I think that's what we do here. You get them in as well as in our marketing material. I mean, that's something that we do I mean, YouTube is something different. The kettlebell world, how I'm now jumping into it as a coach, that's something different. But I started in weight loss and helping people lose weight. But from that perspective, the goals then suddenly shift. It's like, yeah, now I just wanna get that pistol squat. I want to get that Turkish get up. I just want to be strong. And even that's what Dr. Krajewski says. I love these old school dudes. They say health is a natural companion of strength. It just comes with the territory, and then it's like, you get that feeling. So if I may pivot into something that I'm really interested in getting your opinion. So actually two things, because you brought something up that I think is fascinating. Now we know force is generated from a solid surface, right? From a solid floor. So what do you make? What do you make out of those ideas that a lot of people put forth in the fitness world of being on wobbly surface and not going into rehab purposes? Because rehab, I do see the applicability. Yet, people who claim if you are on a Bosu ball balancing and then grabbing kettlebells and then doing whatever you can, and then you build tension on a wobbly surface, what's your take on this idea?
Well, if it applies to a goal you have, or a sport or a craft or something that is going to improve it, then it makes sense. If you're an athlete, you want to have stable joints, so you want to create instability. So when you get knocked over, your knee doesn't take a shit on you. But if we're looking at just the average kettlebeller that is looking for GPP or looking for strength, me personally, I don't think it makes any sense, because you could be focusing on some things that will just give you more bang for buck and less risk for reward. If you're on a Bosu ball and you're trying to do a pistol squat with 48 kilos or whatever, something, right? And that Bosu ball pops, right? Because it's old and whatever. You just tore your ACL. And what was the reason for it? Why were you testing it? What was the reason? If your test has a reason and that reason is validated to the student towards its goals, then go for it. Then go for it. But general physical preparation, there's so many more things that you could be focusing on that are already hard. There are already a basic kettlebell clean is very hard. It's very hard to clean a pair of kettlebells and do it properly without arching your back or letting the bells crash into the rack position. Why make it even harder by standing on a Bosu ball or standing on one leg or something like that? I get it, but
if I may put it a little further, Maverick, let's assume you have an athlete that walks through your door and he's like, yo, I'm in the NBA or whatever have you. So I need that stability. Or let's use MMA or football or whatever. I get knocked off of my feet. So in that case, would you start working with a Bosu ball? And if I would just preface this a little bit more, you get a lot of stability, for example, with a snatch. You get a lot of bang for your buck with those exercises. I mean, the kettlebells are already unilateral, and so because you mentioned this athlete idea, so what would be your take then? Let's assume the athlete walks through your door.
I would make sure that they can move proficiently with both heels under hips, and then I would put them into a natural athletic position, which is a runner stance or a staggered position. And I would make them isolate the forward leg with whatever movement: a swing, a clean, a snatch, a staggered push press. And then from there, progress them into movements like, say, a curtsy lunge or a Cossack squat, where they're getting in some lateral movement patterns. But would I put them on a Bosu ball? No, because all it's going to take is one little slip up and they get hurt. So you can create instability while creating stability by just keeping natural motions. It's all you need is a kettlebell and a body. You don't need all these other extra toys. They're fun and they look cool, but let's just say you don't have that. All you got is a full kit of kettlebells from 12 to 48. You got pairs, and you don't have any of this other shit that everybody's got. What are you going to use?
Yeah.
You got to be creative. You got to use the human being to improve the human being. You don't need all this other shit. You know. So
Yeah.
Do I think the Bosu ball is great? Yeah, I think it's a pretty cool piece of equipment. Do I use it? No, I don't use it. You know, but that's just my own personal preference. I'd rather just take you, the student, take some equipment, take some basic calisthenics, and whatever your goals are, keep it simple, keep it safe, and keep everything always progressing. When you add other variables to it, you run the risk for an injury more than you do for a reward. And the reward is not in the training room. The reward is on the field. The training is what gets you to the finish line. You got to train effectively. You got to train correctly, and then go. But does it work? Yeah, it all works. But if the coach doesn't know how to coach it, then the trainer's not going to know how to receive it.
Most definitely. And I love that. That's something that you just said earlier, where people have to, even if the coach is sharing something with you, you still have to listen. You still have to be willing with an open mind to listen. That's something that, it's natural, but now that you said it, it just rings another bell, because it's not just the words that are coming out of the coach's mouth, it's also the way you are receiving it, and are you open to it, right? Yeah, fascinating.
Yeah, it's all about energy, man. It's like, where everything is, it's like when you walk into a room, you can just feel that surge, right? When your student comes up to you, you project that energy upon them, and then it creates the vibe for the next 60 minutes or whatever you're going to be doing, however long. But that energy is only received if it's believed by the receiver. So you've got to make that person feel what it is that you're projecting, so then they can in turn use it to accelerate whatever their goals are. So so don't try to coach somebody some shit that you're not good at.
Most definitely.
I saw this on YouTube, man. Based on your goals, I swear it's going to work. You're like, well, can you do it? Well, no, I can't do it. So why am I going to teach it? I'm going to teach you. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's something that sometimes I have arguments, or I used to have arguments with some coaches around my area, where I was like, listen, if you don't walk the walk, man, don't teach it to people. Or I cannot start accelerating, or if I want to successfully show you something that really works with a particular training modality, and I have spent just the basic minimum requirement to get to know that specific training modality, then I'm not sure. I always say, when I see people, and you probably are familiar with this, as a coach, you instantly see when somebody moves the weights. You instantly see, did they just learn it at school, or did they practice?
Yeah.
That's something that you see. And I'm such a firm believer that a coach should practice what he or she does. I think if you get to a certain age and you get the legend status, and maybe, maybe that's a different thing then, and you retire, then maybe you still do some basic work, or that's a different topic. But for most of us, I think we have to just look and walk the part, right?
And if you can't do it, outsource it. Don't try to take the person's money because they're investing in you to get a result that you're not knowledgeable to teach. So I don't teach kettlebell sport. So if I have somebody, they're like, hey coach, I see you do a lot of hard style stuff. You don't post any sports stuff, but do you coach it? Like, no, but here's 2 or 3 guys that I can recommend. Where do you live? Oh, well, I live in India. Okay, well, I don't know anybody in India, but here, I got a list of people that do virtual, and then I boom, 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 and I kick them out, and then they go reach out, and whoever they connect with, that's good. And that's the other big thing, is that, connecting with your student is vital for success.
And referencing out, right? So
Yeah,
listen,
reference
this
out.
is
You
I'm
suck
not
at something,
I
pass it
always
on.
I always say this. I'm not a therapist. So when people have questions that are going to the therapeutic realm, I'm always like, listen, I do know the surface of it, but it looks like you just need to get a check from a physio or a doc. And I know a very good therapist. He'll check you out. But I want to stay with you. Yeah, it's great that you want to stay with me, but this is not my field of expertise. I'm honed in on a couple of things that I think I can do right, and I don't want to branch out too much, right? That's also something in the personal training world that many people think, I got to be a therapist, I got to do rehab, I got to do pregnancy preparation or whatever, I got to do kettlebells, like I got to do everything, and
No.
then you're just average at best, right? And
Yep.
yeah, it's just
Yeah, I get asked a lot. They're like, Coach, what's what type of person comes to reach out to you for training? I'm like, usually intermediate to advanced that are burnt out from trying to program, and they need structure and they need guidance and they need motivation because they've been training so fucking long that they don't have it anymore. And that happens to to the old dinosaurs that have been training since, for myself, I started picking up weights when I was 13 years old. I found an old Joe Weider weight bench in my mom's garage.
old stuff. Love it.
Not a lot of people know who Joe Weider is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
guy created the Olympia.
The legend, yeah.
And then, then I got, motivated through, with Schwarzenegger and, Franco Columbu and Sergio Olivia, all those guys. I never really got into bodybuilding, but I got into power building, which is basically doing power lifting, but when bodybuilding sets and reps. So, monster weights on the barbells and just, 8 to 12 reps, things of that nature. But back on topic, it's people get burnt out and they got to find new sources to reignite them. And that's what I help them with, most of these people. Now I do have some beginners, but my page doesn't really attract a novice. It'll attract, like, if the novice is like, holy shit, I didn't know you could do that with a kettlebell. They're like, all right, I'm going to talk to this guy in a couple years. Let me go practice. But if they just reached out, they could learn how to lift heavy from day one, as opposed to trying to figure out how to lift heavy and then come seeing me or another heavy kettlebell practitioner. And then we've got to undo basically, all the bad behavior that they inadvertently, created. So,
and I love this idea of just the heavy kettlebell world. And that's where I actually put you. Where I'm like, this Maverick's the dude who's lifting these giant ass kettlebells and doing stuff with it, and that's exactly where I put you. So I think it's so interesting that you're mentioning by yourself, because that's your thing. So let me just ask you this, to segue into strength. What part of becoming as strong as possible is genetic endowment, and what part is training?
What part's genetics and what part's training? Well, whatever you are genetically predispositioned to look a certain way. Some things are going to be easier for you, and some things are just going to be harder. But eventually, they won't be hard. You'll just have to, like, different levels bring different devils. And once you can achieve 24 kilos, now you're going to want 26 or 28. So it just depends on where your mindset is. Now, like when I'm coaching people, they're like, Coach, what am I going to look like, doing all this kettlebells? I'm like, you're going to look like whatever your DNA is. Like some people got big calves and big chest and little biceps and triceps, and they got Popeye forearms, right? So I think that kettlebell training, you can get as strong as you want, but with my philosophy, my strength is plateaued at your body weight, and that is equal to strength.
That's the relative. That's the relation, right? That you're okay. I love it.
Yeah. So whatever you weigh, whatever your ideal body weight is, or your fighting weights per se, then that's what you're striving to achieve with I call it the body weight complex. It's a clean, it's a strict press, and it's a front squat, and it's all at your body weight.
Body weight complex.
Yeah.
Love it.
So whatever you weigh, plus or minus a few kilos. You know, if you're 85 kilos, then you know a pair of 40s is fine.
So how was that? That was the the front squat, all right?
Clean, press, front squat.
Front squat. Yeah.
And they all have to be strict.
Love it. Yeah. Tension only. Love it. Yeah. Great.
And the only reason why I say it is I busted my ass to achieve it. So I mean I can clean press and front squat double 48s I weigh about, what's 212? 212, what is that, 94 kilos?
Yeah, that's 100. Yeah, 100 kilos probably, or 90 something.
Yeah, 100 is 220.
220. All right. So it's 95 or something, 96.
Yeah, 96. So
right.
like I'm 96, and that's what I walk around with. But if I've got a guy who's 105 kilos and he's like, I'm a little bit overweight. Okay, cool. What do you want to be at? I want to be around 94, 95, 96. Okay, cool. This is what you're striving to achieve. You know, you're trying to, this is what the goal is. But there's different levels, you know. Initially, if we take that 96 frame, your first goal is to be able to use a pair of 24s, which is two bells that equal half your body weight.
So that would be that's an interesting topic. That will be the progression if we just look at the progression of the body weight complex. So we'd have it's gonna go half body weight.
Half body weight, two bells to equal half body weight.
Two bells, yeah.
Two bells to equal 70 or 75%, and two bells that equal 100%.
All right, love it.
So those are your milestones, right?
Yeah,
so you've got to go. Now you got to go from half body weight to like 60%. Now you go to 70, and then you go to 80%, and then 90%, and then you get to 100%. And that's where the magic really happens with the Fieldhouse philosophy. Is that's what I train all of my students to accelerate towards, is getting that body weight complex. And my wife, who weighs, she doesn't have the press yet, but she's got the clean. My wife weighs, I think 52 or 53. No, it's 54. She weighs 55 kilos. She weighs 55, and she can clean a pair of 28s.
Massive. Yeah, that's powerful.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, and then I have another student. She can clean a pair of 32s, and she weighs 65.
So that's always something that we can say, right? It is the relationship to your body weight. If you are built massively from a natural standpoint, so you're like a 100 kilo natural walking around, and it's not overweight, it's just your frame. And that's what you see with the heavyweight guys, of course, as well. I mean, they are able to lift more weights, as well as the women. That's the same thing.
The thing with kettlebells is that weight moves weight, right? So whatever you weigh, you should be able to move that weight.
I love this. That's such a great idea.
If you weigh 60 kilos, you should be able to clean 60 kilos. Yeah. Because it's all about transformation of force between you in relation to the kettlebells, who we all know they don't give a shit about you at all.
Yeah.
They're just
there.
They're just there to say, hey buddy,
I don't care how you feel today.
Come get you some of this humble pie right here.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah, the humble pie.
Right. But here's the other thing too, is like kettlebells, there's no discrimination on strength with the kettlebells. Be like, if you want to get strong, if you are whatever you deem yourself, if you want it bad enough, then the kettlebell can provide it. You just may have to work harder in certain variables to get what you're looking for. But when somebody says, oh, well, you're a girl, or oh, you're whatever you classify yourself as, you know what I mean? You're that. Well, you can't get that. We're like, well, bullshit. Be like, I'm gonna show you, because the kettlebell doesn't care.
It doesn't care. And
it does not care.
It doesn't qualify or put you in a box or in it's just I love this, and that's what I love about weights in general. They're just there. They whether you're
That's all weights. Yeah, for sure.
it's
That's
yeah,
all
they
weights.
just there. They wait for you to pick them up. They don't care whether you lift them or not. The the gravitational pull is always the same.
It is.
They don't care whether you
It
feel
is.
like it or not. And that's what I love about kettlebells. On a final note, Maverick, and then we have to close because we have a client coming up. But we got to repeat this. And before I end this, or the final question, I really want to invite you into our, I call it the Kettlebell Avengers. We have one session coming up this Sunday where we have Steve Carter, we have Luca, we have Cat's Kettlebell Dojo from New Zealand. And we have me, and we have Sean Mosen from Canada. And then we have this meeting, and then we'll just talk. And I'd love to invite you as well, just for the future ideas. Every 3 months or 2 months, we set them up, and then we just gather and bounce around ideas from the kettlebell perspective. Would you be willing that I can invite you as well?
Yeah, man. Yeah, go ahead and add me to the. It's on a Sunday, right?
Yeah, and that's just adding you to the list, and then a couple of months they come out, and then if you have time, that's awesome. If not, maybe the next time or whatever. So that's awesome. I'm gathering all these heavyweights. I love this. And the beautiful thing is the communal learning. We learn from each other. I learn incredibly much from you folks, where I'm just listening and tuning in, and then trying to apply some of that stuff to how I do it. So on a final note, and I'm just putting this out there, when people ask me, and challenge it, say whatever you want. When people ask me, they're like, listen, give me the greatest tool, the best tool to build maximum strength, maximum. I'm always saying, well, then you maybe got to shift to the barbell, because the barbell is the king of strength. What is your part on this? You're shaking your head. I love it. I'm listening, man.
The maximum strength that an individual wants is their strength, and whatever they want to use to get it, it is what it is. Weight is weight. 200 pounds is 200 pounds. It does not matter what it is. It can be a rock, it can be a bunch of fucking logs, it can be furniture, it can be whatever it is. Now, if you're trying to break records and you're trying to lift weight that is distributed across a broad piece of object, then you're going to be able to load the most amount of weight on a single piece of equipment with a barbell by technicality. Okay. However,
I'm listening.
I can take two 92 kilo kettlebells, and I can lanyard with carabiners 4 or 5 24 kilo kettlebells on both of those, and I can pick up 600 pounds or something like that in each hand, right? 1,200 pounds total weight, 1,200 pounds in kettlebells, 1,200 pounds in a barbell. It doesn't matter. It's 1,200 pounds. Now, I can't do that. Just throwing that out there. Okay. But the thing about it is like, I don't believe that there's a king of equipment just because I started out in barbell and now I've gone into kettlebells and steel clubs and such. But there really is there's a mindset that makes sense to the individual. And that's all it is. Strength is strength. And pound for pound, I think one of the strongest human beings on the planet are gymnasts, because they can just do things with their body that most people can't do. And their strength is transferable to any other modality of training, with regards to like crossover strength. But that goes with kettlebells and that goes with barbells. If the person has made that connection, and because a gymnast, it has a little bit, I think, of a higher, maybe training IQ. It's because there's so much margin for error in gymnastics, meaning they connect with it. And if people would just take that mindset and transfer it to the barbell, or to the kettlebell or to the dumbbell, they'll have higher success. It's boring to watch, Olympians in an Olympic hall do weight training, but they're moving massive loads consistently because they've connected with the barbell. They've connected with
they mold it according to the training modality, right?
Yes. And their movement is their movement. They just move within the guidelines of Olympic weightlifting. And when we train with kettlebells, whether it's sport or hardstyle, as long as you move within the guidelines of the principles of movement, then you're going to be able to move as much weight as you want to. When you get to the point where you're trying to move maximal loads and you decide to feed your ego to complete the repetition by any means necessary, that's when you've created faults in the stars that are lining up with your strength. You know what I mean? So
if I'm understanding this right, let's put it like this. Technicality wise, the barbell maybe lends itself to a certain degree a little bit better because it's easier to load it, right?
yeah,
But at the end of the day, if you are cleaning double 48s, pressing 48s, squatting 48, whatever, you'll still be able to become immensely strong. But the barbell, I loved it because you mentioned the word technicality. From a technicality standpoint, it may be, but we can become as strong as possible with any given weight that we choose to lift and train with. Right?
Yeah.
It's just weight.
It's just weight. I mean, it's like, it's all it is, you know? I mean, can you squat more on a barbell than you can with kettlebells? Yes, you can, but weights are loaded onto a barbell. If I load a bunch of kettlebells onto a table and I get under that table and I squat it up,
it's the
same principle.
Same
effect. I'm just using a table to hold the weights, whereas the individual is using a barbell to hold the weights. I could load a bunch of kettlebells up on a barbell, but what is it? It's a barbell kettlebell loaded squat thingamajig.
And the image that jumped into my mind because it talked about the table and the kettlebells was the Steinborn squat, where people didn't have there were no racks around. So it's like, how you gonna pick up this massive barbell? Well, you go under it, and then you stand up. What's the problem? I love it, man.
But it's weight, man. It's all it is.
Weight. It's weight. That's
I think there's a better connection between the hand and the kettlebell because of the proximity of the bell in relation to the body. Whereas with the barbell, you have a great connection with the barbell, right? And and then the stability factor becomes dispersed. So that's why you can squat more because your weight's generated over broad range.
Yeah.
So it's all about what makes sense to you. I think there's a high level of martial arts with powerlifting and Olympic weightlifting and kettlebell sport and hardstyle. As an individual, you have to be willing to embark upon that path. Because if not, you're just working out and you're just trying to get a feeling to justify bad behavior or some sort of vanity stuff. But I've powerlifted all through my 20s, right? And that martial arts mindset with powerlifting transitioned over to my mindset with heavy kettlebell training. It's I can't remember who says it, but it goes something like this: the foot feels the foot when the foot feels the floor, and the hand feels the handle. The hand feels the hand when the hand feels the handle. You know what I mean? And whatever that handle is, the handle of a barbell, the handle of a kettlebell, the handle of a dumbbell, or even like a lat pull down. Eliminating that slack between the bar and the chain.
Yeah, most definitely.
It's this, man. It's about this and that, and then that as well. So fucking slow down, pump the brakes, pull the reins on it, and be present when you're training.
Be present, man. All these grains and words of wisdom. That's why I love this podcast, man. I love this, man. I'm learning so much. So, Maverick, thank you so much for joining. It was a pleasure. We got to repeat it. You're officially invited to our kettlebell Avengers idea that we're just gathering and having great conversations. I'll let you know when the podcast is up. We're going to share it on YouTube as well as on the Spotify podcast. I'm going to send you the link and everything, and then you can do however you see fit.
Yeah, I got to have a podcast highlights on my page.
Yeah, awesome. You do whatever you want. You cut it up. You do whatever you want with it. Pleasure talking to you. Finally meeting you. Meeting you. So we'll catch you on the next one, man. It was a real pleasure. Thank you very much, man.
Sounds good, man. Cheers.
Bye, Maverick.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
The world of kettlebells is dominated by two training styles called hardstyle and kettlebell sport. Although vastly different in nature, they have been proven to work and give you the most bang for your buck whenever you pick up a kettlebell if you apply the technique correctly and are able to differentiate between the two. Now, for beginners, this task might be understandably confusing. With our upcoming hybrid style masterclass, in 100 lessons, you will embrace the emergence of the hybrid style movement, where you will learn how to combine the best of both worlds and become a master at handling the kettlebell. Join the next revolution in kettlebell training now and sign up for our early birds list to stay up to date and receive an exclusive discount on release week. Link is in the description.